Hey. I just realized I forgot to reach out
Hey,
to Yvette. Hey. Hold on just a second before I start introducing everybody. Sorry.
it's fine.
But I try to always go live on time, whether I'm ready or not. All right. There. Okay. All right. Something I forgot to do before we got on. So, okay, if happy Monday. Today is Money Mindset Monday, and here we are talking about money and bookkeeping and numbers and all the things. So, this is my live interview with Vanessa Beard. And I just want to introduce myself really quick. My name is Amanda Delaney. I'm the Financial Fixer, the founder of Financial Fixer, and the host of Financial Fixer podcast. You can find me in all the places as Financial Fixer, no problem there, no reason to be confused, right? So, and what I do is I help women become bosses of their money so that they do not have to be controlled by any other boss, whether that is an entity or a person or a toxic situation or job, anything like that, because they're in control of their finances and they can make a decision to get out of any type of feeling of being trapped or stuck in any way, right? Because we have control of our money, right?
hmm
So I am here with Vanessa Beard, which is my very successful client. We've been working together. Well, we're not working together on finances so much anymore. We are still in the academy and everything, but Vanessa was with me for a year, her and her husband. And I would just like to introduce her. She's a mom, she's a wife, she's a business owner. She's on this entrepreneur roller coaster with me. And her business is called A to Z, just add numbers bookkeeping. So I would just like to introduce her, and I've asked Vanessa to come here on here to help me with coaching because I'm just one person, and because she's a success in the Financial Fixer program, I'd like for her to be a FixHER Money success coach as well. So not only is she going to help share the Fixer program, the framework of the Financial Fixer program, because she was successful at that, but also her own expertise with bookkeeping and other things in business as well. So because not only is she a success, but she's also helped me in my business. So Vanessa, we can talk about like how many times we've cried together and supported each other and had those conversations that nobody else needs to hear about what we're going through as entrepreneurs, as female entrepreneurs, right? And it's a really hard thing, and I'm so grateful that you've supported me. If you wouldn't mind telling the audience a little bit more about Vanessa, who she is, and how she serves her people, not only her people, in business, but also her people in life. Tell us a little bit more about that, please.
Yeah, happy to. So, still figuring myself out every single day. That is the best advice, or not advice, quote I've ever heard. If you want to find out who you are, become an entrepreneur because you find out something new pretty much every day. So, as of right now, I'm Vanessa Beard. I am a mom of two amazing, rambunctious little boys who talk about poop all the time right now. So that's great. Austin and Xander, hence the name A to Z, just add numbers. But they were my inspiration. My husband is Adam. We went through the program together. We've been married, trying to count here, since 2012. So 10 years now. Wow. On April 6th. And we'll be going on a vacation to the Bahamas here shortly, the next couple weeks, which couldn't have done without Amanda. And so again, I found A to Z, just add numbers, bookkeeping. What was it? July of 2020. And then, yeah, so I was coming back to Florida. My husband was in the Navy, so we moved all around everywhere. And I worked for Penske Truck Leasing for their commercial call center for about 8 years while we moved around. And when we came home, my idea was to be, what did you call it? It's like a
A
corporate
proud
entrepreneur in the
ex-corporate.
corporate world.
Oh, well, a corporate dropout, because I say that a lot.
No, like it's people who grow their careers in the corporate world.
Oh, entrepreneur. Yeah.
That was my goal. I wanted to do that, and I thought that's what I was going to do. We have all the DoD huge firms around here: Harris, NASA, Northrop Grumman, you name it, it's around here. And that was my idea. And I got a job interview. It was March 2020, right before all the craziness happened with COVID. And 6 weeks after doing the good girl thing and following up, trying to make sure that I was like being proactive and getting that interview and closing the deal, 6 weeks for them to tell me no, which was the best thing I'd ever heard because it led me down the path to where I'm at now. And I simply went into full searching mode, and I clicked on a Facebook ad that said how to become a stay-at-home bookkeeper. Uh, so it just made sense. I have a business management degree. I was the weirdo in college that actually liked my accounting classes. I have a marketing degree, so I actually got to market my business, which is really exciting. And I got to spend more time with my boys, and that with the unlimited potential of income. So talked to my husband, said I wasn't crazy, took the step into the entrepreneur life. And I just left my full-time job August 30th of 2021. So that's been even more of an adventure, not having a 9 to 5 and just doing this full time. So it's been an exciting year and a half of starting my business. So but essentially, I help my clients save time and money by managing their books and using my QuickBooks services, as simple stated as that sounds. But basically, I take the stress off of you because most people don't become entrepreneurs to do their bookkeeping. I'm going to tell you guys a secret. I don't even like doing my own bookkeeping. I'm a bookkeeper, but I'm a business owner. I enjoy doing the things that make me money, which is doing people's books or marketing my business. So it's a task that is necessary, but most people hate doing it. So you might as well just get that off of your task load, get someone to outsource. And that also helps you kind of with the entrepreneur island too, because you have someone to talk to about like what's going on in your books. Just like Amanda, she talks to you about your personal finances. I'm going to talk to your business and kind of point things out. So it just gets off of an air to always help you. So and bounce ideas off of.
You said something about how you're a bookkeeper and about how you don't like bookkeeping, like in your own business. I totally,
Yeah.
hello, like I'm a master budgeter, right? And my
Mm-hmm.
husband gets on me sometimes because I might not, be planning correctly, or I might make some changes in the budget that he doesn't like, or I won't be in there for a few days, like, because I'm budgeting all day long. So it's just really kind of funny how that happens, like when we're doing something. And I actually love budgeting, like kind of like psycho, but I like actually budgeting with other people's money. It's very weird.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've kind of
Yeah.
gotten, like when I think what it is that I see a result in I see a vision for them because of what I achieved for myself. And I think maybe you might be able to align with this a little bit. Like when I'm doing like, analysis of data. Like, so if someone's, done a template of mine and I'm analyzing it and I'm doing a review for them or whatever, or I'm setting up their budget or something or assisting them with it, I'm like super excited. I'm nerded out like crazy. Like I'm a complete nerd. And I think it's
Mm-hmm.
simply because my excitement for them that they're going to achieve similar things that I achieved in the past, right?
Mm-hmm.
They might not be nearly as excited as me, but it's just funny how that works. And you also said how you were talking about how you were an entrepreneur, and your plan was to move up, right? And I remember specifically and vividly planning to be a director. in my company. Like that, I was like, I saw myself as a director, like, or a sales director, or, you know, COO. I mean, I saw myself going that route, right? Or a regional vice president, right? And there was a point where I don't know if somebody said the wrong thing to me, or if one day I wasn't being heard or something, but it was like I flipped a switch and I knew that this wasn't for me. And being an entrepreneur can be very rewarding. It was for me for a certain period of time until I realized I'm actually a natural born entrepreneur, right? I just didn't know that. It took me some time to figure that out. But I guess what I want to say with that is that it's a very scary place to be when you realize that you've done all the work in this specific direction, right? And your expectations are to get to this next level, that next thing, right? And then all of a sudden you're like, wait a minute, I think I want to make a pivot or a shift. And it scared me shitless. I'm like, seriously, Amanda? You just created all this credibility in yourself. You made so much value in you. You know, you're marketable. Like people know who you are in this industry. Like it was devastating that I no longer wanted to do it anymore. But you have to work through it, you know, and just own the fact that, you know, it's okay to change our minds. It's okay to, you know, start over. And holy crap, that is scary. When I say start over, what I mean is with our money. I went from making six figures to zero. Hi, you know, like, hello. And I was the breadwinner. Like my husband and I were always kind of equal in the household as far as what we brought in for income, but I was always a little bit higher than him, right? And then suddenly I went to zero, and he was, you know, the breadwinner, clearly. And that's painful, you know?
Yeah, it is. Because I was the same way, like working for Penske, and my husband was going to school full time. Like he actually than he did when he was working in the Navy, which is pretty sad. But we were extremely comfortable, more comfortable than I ever thought we would have been with him going to school. But yeah, when I went from like being the main breadwinner, the main money going into our bank account on a consistent basis to, well, now it's not nothing because I had already had clients by the time I quit. But at the same time, it's like, crap, now this is my only income. Like I don't have guaranteed income anymore. So it's definitely a scary switch to do that.
It's really scary. And now you're not, you know, working with someone else's system that's already in play. You now have to create your own system. And words can't express what that's like, especially in the first 3 years, first 0 to 3 years. So let's talk a little bit about, you know, how you've had success in completing the Financial FixHER program. Not that there isn't more work to do, right? We all know that there's more work to be done because this is a lifelong journey. But tell me what's one thing that, you know, you made a change, right? Like in managing your money in one way that is different than, well, technically about 13 months ago prior to us working together. Something that is profound, that's different now.
So I realized kind of from my childhood, like I always felt my parents had separate bank accounts, separate everything. And my parents used money as a way to get like revenge on each other. Like my dad would go spend money on race cars and my mom would go shopping. So there was no cohesiveness ever. So if I spent money by myself, I always felt guilty. Like, oh, Adam's going to, you know, yell at me for spending this money. Cause that's just kind of, when I started working with you, or when we both started working with you, and I actually started talking to him about money, he's like, I don't care about that. Like, go spend your money, like, and not your money. And now our money, we actually talk about it as our money. And he has always seen it that way because his parents, it was always their money. They said our money. So like that was always his vision. But for me, it was so like so much guilt. And I still have that guilt. It's not completely gone, but that muscle has grown a lot to where I'll go and talk to him about something and I'm still nervous, but then at the same time, like I hear his answer, I'm like, okay, all right, we're on the same page about this. And it just makes me feel so much better that we work together as a team. So I would say that's the biggest thing that just communicating and working as a team together.
Yeah, I mean, I saw lots of shifts with the two of you, and there were, obviously, it's all this is a roller coaster, especially we're in the
Mm-hmm.
beginning stages of doing something new and getting better at something, right? So we had to work through lots of things, but man, I couldn't be prouder of like seeing the two of you just like, and this is I'd say that you obviously you are the one that came with more pain, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
more deep rooted, some trauma behind it, similar
Yeah.
to me. That's obviously we're cut from the same rug or something,
Yeah.
clearly. But
Yeah.
you came to the table when it came to the finances with more pain, more trauma, more root chain beliefs, more history that was hurtful, right?
Mm-hmm.
And not to say anything bad about your legacy or where the people that are in it or where you came from, because it's not about that. It's really about our perception, right? So your perception of your finances and how they're supposed to be managed was slightly misleading, right? And I know that
Mm-hmm.
feeling of being misled, but also the you know the feeling of I'm not worthy to have this conversation, or I'm not worthy of wealth, or who am I to even be having this conversation, or feeling like I'm able to communicate about money with my significant other,
Mm-hmm.
right? So like you have all those internal things like just telling you that you're not, or that
Yeah.
this isn't going to work for you. So you came a long way, is my
Yeah.
point, in you know having the conversation is critical
Mm-hmm.
to your healing.
Yeah.
And I know that through my own journey, but also seeing you through your journey, right? So tell me an aha moment that you've
Mm-hmm.
had that you'd like to share with the audience. Something that we did or that you guys did together, that also could potentially help the audience in alignment maybe with your experience. Give me an aha moment.
I'm going to give our big blowout of August last year.
Do it.
It was so Adam likes to do these trips to 7-Eleven, to Publix. And like this has been his thing since we were 21 years old, just moving in together. Even before that, he runs to the convenience store to go get a monster, go get a soda. He used to smoke back in the day, so that was part of it. Like he built that habit to go get cigarettes and whatever else. He never broke the habit of going to the store.
Yeah.
So there was last year in August, and this is when I was right about to leave my job. So I was seeing that was going on with a fine tooth comb going over our finances. And I said, I need all your receipts, like from where you're going. And he handed them over to me. He's like, yeah, I've been logging. And I was like, okay, well, let me see all the receipts you haven't logged. $800 in 1 month worth of him not logging. And he still says, I don't spend that much money. I was like, do you remember the $800 you spent that one August from you not spending that much money? I was like, the small things add up,
Yeah, they do.
especially running to the grocery store. And it's like, hey, do you want ice cream tonight? Like it was thoughtful things, but then it's like, oh, well, I'm running to the grocery store. Let me pick up like a few more things and whatnot. So a $10 trip turns into a $20, $30 trip. Add those up over the month. That adds up
Sorry.
a lot. So
Yeah.
that was probably the biggest aha, and for me at the same time. So it was just a real eye opener of how much money you can spend when you're not paying attention.
Yeah. I remember that day, or that. weekend or however long it went.
I boxered
Yeah.
you first.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah,
oh God.
that was a real doozy.
Yeah.
But I'm so glad that I was there because,
Yeah.
I think clearly we need support
Yeah.
through these types of things that happen, and I really wish that I would have had that kind of support when, I was going through, I mean, a lot of mine, getting through the real issues for me was happening while I was a single mom. I was kind of past those things when I ended up in my relationship with my husband. Thank God. But I still had a lot of things to work through. Like it just was a little bit easier, but I wish that I could have just called somebody, like phone a friend,
Yeah.
and just been like, can you just walk through these numbers with me or help me understand this or help me understand, like the behavior that I'm dealing with, with my partner or whatever. Yeah, so I think it was really critical to just help you kind of work through it. I think you would have anyway. I think you were really building the muscle
Yeah.
of communication. So you just kind of had to have a fight. Sometimes we just have to have a fight. And
Yeah.
yeah,
In conflict, there comes, as long as you fight fair, like there's always a resolution. There's always worth it. Because without those fights, you don't see the clarity or discernment between those things that you're going through. So,
yeah, it's amazing how much we grow when something bad happens,
yeah.
right? Yeah, I mean, that's totally.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk a little bit about you're a bookkeeper. You're
Mm-hmm.
obviously a math person. And by the way, this whole thing with you doing well in accounting, no, 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 you did well in accounting. I cried in the account in financial accounting. I wanted to die. And I was a finance major. So you and I have different brains.
Yes, because
Yeah.
I failed finance.
It's so weird because I aced finance and I'm not really, I never was really good at math, but for some reason,
Yeah.
finance, I got it. Right. And you're that, in accounting, you got it. It's something, it's brain,
So
something's going on there.
there is, to me, between finance and accounting, like accounting, yes, you've got to add 1 plus 1 or like make sure you're reconciling, you get that zero, but it's not really math, it's concepts. So
Mm-hmm.
I understood the concepts of bookkeeping. I understood debits. I understood credits. I understood why the balance sheet needed to look like this, or all right, this is on the profit and loss. This is what it needs to add up to. Finance, just remember I didn't understand that whatsoever. So everyone says that, oh, you got to be a math person. I'm not a math person. I've never been a math person. That's been the one subject in school I've always had to work for. Bookkeeping is more concepts. It's data entry. You kind of have to figure out like, all right, this number is off. Why? But that's because of the concept that's behind it, not
Yeah.
adding 2 + 2 = 4.
Makes sense. That totally makes sense. And I think another thing that for me, like I was able to kind of like understand the formulas different in finance than I did I think they appeared as though they were more complex, but really they were more simplified. And my brain didn't want to agree that they were simplified in accounting. Does that make sense? Similarly
Yeah.
to how I do budgeting now, and I use a simplified system, but it may appear or seemingly like it seems as though it's complex only because of like my brain is like kind of saying, or someone's brain could be saying, that's too difficult, or that looks too easy. It's got to be, you know what I mean? Like it's got to be more
Yeah.
difficult than that. So it's like block it out, right? So it's weird how, but once we kind of get it, then we can move on. So it's said that personal finance is 20% head math and 80% mental knowledge, right? Like mind, right? So, how has mindset played a part in your financial journey to heal past mistakes and or traumas?
The guilt, a lot of it, like I had mentioned earlier, just I felt guilty spending money because I didn't know where it was going. And the knowledge of not knowing would scare the crap out of me. It's like we're not paying off, pay off too much debt, and then we'd have to put more on credit cards. So it really helped us see kind of like, all right, well, this is where we're spending our money. This is where we can cut money. You feel comfortable here. I feel comfortable here. And like kind of coming together and compromising and really like listening and understanding. Like Adam's comfort is $10,000 in our savings account minimum. We blew through that while I wasn't working. We thankfully got a very nice tax return, which replenished all of that plus some. So, but without you, we wouldn't have been able to kind of figure that out. Like, and even like I had to ask you, I was like, well, wait, how do I do this in savings? Because we've never put anything away in savings since we've been with you, because that wasn't our purpose when we got together. Like, we wanted to continue to live our lifestyle while he was going to school and learn how once he got a job to actually start paying down the debt. So mindset's huge, because if you keep talking down to yourself and you tell yourself all the time, like, well, I'm not right, I'm not good enough to spend this money or whatnot, like putting numbers in the Every Dollar app, it's just a number. It takes the drama out of it. At least it did for me a lot.
No, it totally does. And I think the more you do it, the more you do it consistently and you actually get into a routine and you practice, it actually takes any of the thinking out of it too. It's almost crazy how I almost track subconsciously now, like my brain's not even, it's almost like I'm getting in the car and I'm driving and I'm putting my blinker on because subconsciously that's what I'm supposed to do, but I'm not even realizing I'm doing it in the act. Similarly to if we're not mindful about spending, that can also happen, right? Like, so say we go to the grocery store and we don't have a list and we're just like going through the motions. Like it's kind of strange how once you start building habits happens in alignment the same way, whether it's a bad habit, quote unquote, or a good habit, quote unquote, right? So imagine this, you are in an old habit of going to the convenience store and walking in consistently, and now you've created a new habit of not walking in consistently and instead going and buying those monsters online and or making a list, going to the grocery store and picking up those things that maybe you would have gotten at the convenience store, that kind of thing. So your habit has changed due to a new behavior being set, right? And the crazy thing is that once that old habit, we were subconsciously doing that old habit. Now we're not anymore because we've got the new habit, and that new habit, it becomes subconscious as well. So in both, does that make sense what I'm saying? I hope I'm not like making that overly complex by over delivering my message. You know how
so our habit became, we made a line for Adam, monster and convenient runs. So anytime either of us just goes to Starbucks randomly or we go to the gas station and pick something up, we both use it. So we know, like, all right. And to me, that makes me not want to spend as much. We have like $100, $120 a month for that specific line item. So it's like, okay, I want to be conscious of what I'm spending it on. And I've noticed we've been lacking in that sense. And we even had a conversation about it the other day. I was like, we are so used to just spending money right now and adjusting our budget instead of staying on track with the specific we put there. And I had a conversation with Adam about that. I was like, I don't care what we do. I was like, but if we're going to spend money, then we just need to be on the same page. If we're like consciously trying to start paying down debt, then we can do that. So, and he's like, well, I won't track it, so this is on you. And I was like, oh, great, but okay, at least I know like you're not going to do that, so I'll keep up with it. So
sometimes it's harder for one person. Like, again, I guess I would say that right now my husband is you, and I'm kind of Adam in the relationship, right? In a sense, right? Like I do track, but he's doing more of the planning and the spending and the tracking more consistently every day. And I'm coming in there and tracking when I spend, which isn't as often because that's how our lifestyle is, right? Like he's doing more of the finances in our own house. But with that said, like as long as it's as up to date as possible, it keeps you both on track. So like, you know, that way you're able to have that conversation and say, okay, but in that category, we only have for example, whatever that category is, doesn't really matter. We only have $100 left to spend in that category. So just be mindful when you go blah, 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 right? Like, so you got $100 left, regardless of how much you're going to spend today, you know, you have $100 left. So our brain is triggered at that point to pay attention. And when we pay attention, then we actually make better decisions. So by default, almost by accident, we're saving money.
Yeah.
So it's
And
kind
you
of
just
creepy.
gave me an aha moment. So to kind of like sit there, because I even told Adam, I was like, I don't care if you do anything with it, adding numbers or whatnot, but because we do the download. But at the same time, I was like, you at least have to look at the budget and know what you're spending, you know, or see where we're at. Like, so it's definitely been a learning experience since he's started his job. There's been more income coming in, but at the same time, we don't have you anymore every month, like walking us through it. So it's an adjustment, and you're not going to be perfect on your journey every single week, month, or whatever. But just as long as you know that it is a habit and you want to both be on the same page, then that's all that truly matters. But yeah.
And you two have set the stage, right? You've set the foundation to, you know what to do. You have the tools, and we talked about this, you know, and we talked about it a little bit in one of our last coaching sessions in the academy, you know, about how it can kind of happen where when you suddenly, it's like, okay, you had somebody helping you through something, you know, this new thing that you're doing, and then all of a sudden that person isn't there anymore, that support system isn't there, or it feels like they're not. You know that I'm still there, obviously, but we're not having those regular coaching calls where we have to go and show up to an accountability process, which is different, right?
Yeah.
So then we have to be accountable to ourselves. We have to be accountable, first and foremost, accountable to ourselves, right? Because we can't control other people. But obviously, our partners, it's helpful to be accountable to each other and support each other through the process. But ultimately, this is inward work. It's inward work that we all have to do. You know, and I think you've done that. I think there's always more work to be done. I'm like literally not even perfect at this. Yes, I'm a master budgeter. Like that thing, I've figured it out. But still, it doesn't mean that I do it well all the time.
Well, and it doesn't mean your own inner issues don't come up to bite
Oh,
you in the
heck
ass,
no.
you know?
Yeah.
So
Oh,
that's kind of what's been happening to me is like, I notice I haven't been tracking as much. I'm feeling more and more guilt every time I swipe my card because I'm not tracking my money as much. So, like, you pick up on the habits, you listen to your thoughts, like what's going on, and then you can kind of like readjust and not let those feelings take over you completely, you know, or at least not as long. So it's just
yeah, I think when you
training
feel
yourself.
uncertainty, right? And when you feel uncertainty, it's because of lack of information of some sort, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which means that we're probably not doing the routine that we need to be doing. So then you have to circle back. So I completely get that. Let's pivot a little bit into the bookkeeping thing. It's already 33 minutes in. Holy crap.
Yep.
If I'm a new business owner, right? So let's talk about bookkeeping. Let's just go there. And I'm just starting to make a little revenue in my business, but I don't really feel like I need a bookkeeper. How can you sell me on why I would need to invest in a bookkeeper now as opposed to a year from now when I'm making more revenue, right?
Yeah. So again, it's just like you. It's building the habit. It needs to be done for one. And if you don't want to sit down and take the time to learn it, why not outsource it? If you are a small business owner, it is not that expensive to outsource your bookkeeping. It goes based off of what you make and how many transactions are coming in. So, say you are a much smaller client, like making $100,000 or less, it's $297 a quarter. It's $100 bucks a month. So if you truly are feeling like, oh my God, I don't do my bookkeeping, and it like keeps you up at night, or you're like, crap, I got to get all this stuff to the CPA at the end of the year, but I don't know if I've tracked everything. Like, it just helps to keep track of that, because you don't know how much you're leaving on the table. Like realtors, for example, they spend so much in marketing and they probably don't realize half of it, because most of them are 1099s, or at least not all the time. Um, and then also just like making sure your bank accounts are separate, so you can at least see what's going on in your business bank account and your personal. And the major reason to do that is because the IRS, if they cannot have a clear line of what's your business and your personal, even if you're an LLC, they can go after your personal assets because they can't tell what is what.
Yeah.
So just for that sole purpose alone, like separate your bank accounts. Even if it's a personal checking account that is meant solely for your business, that's fine.
Agreed.
So like I said, it really just, it doesn't cost that much. People think it costs a lot of money, and it doesn't. We're going to charge you like for how big you are. Not most of us anyway are going to charge you for how large you are. If you start to grow, then we grow with you, because the amount of time that we're putting into the bookkeeping is going to be obviously more, because there's more transactions coming in and out of the business.
Definitely. No, that's super helpful. Thank you so much for that. And you shared a checklist with me, which we'll share that in the notes here when we're done, or in the comments. I'm so used to podcasting. Oh my God. Hello. So I'll put it in the comments, but can you talk a bit about the things, just quickly, if you can, about the things that we should do throughout the year to like be able to be consistent at, bookkeeping tasks?
Yeah. So just like your personal finances, you're going to want to take a look at your bank account every single day. You don't know what your number is if you don't look at it. So take care of that. Like, keep track of your actual cash accounts that you have. And just be aware of what payments are going out of your bank account, what payments are coming in. Did a client miss a payment? Do you need to reach out to them? So just be aware of really like what's coming in and out. And then if you have an accounting software such as QuickBooks or Zero, Wave, whatever you have, just check the bank feeds on a daily basis or weekly basis, whichever is fine. I know I can go into my account once a month and I'm fine with that. Some people like to be more on top of it with their business. So it's really just up to you. But the more you do those transactions, the more, the less it is at the end of the year when you're trying to get everything to the CPA.
Definitely.
Yeah. And then, so those are your daily tasks. Check your bank account. And then for weekly, record what your customer billing is. What do you need to send out? What payments do you need to send out to your vendors? So what bills need to be paid? What vendors need to be paid? And then what's coming in from your customers? If you have any bills, then file those bills and your payment records. So IRS, unfortunately, likes paper. So if you have receipts coming in, try to print them out or put them in a folder, and you're supposed to keep them for up to like 7 years. It's great because only about 1 in 300 businesses now are being audited, where it used to be like I think it was like 1 in 50 or something. Like, with everything going on with COVID, they're really backed up. So, and usually they're going to go after larger businesses rather than smaller businesses now. And then if you have payroll, update those files, and then, prepare and send invoices as you need.
That is crazy helpful. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
You also shared a link with me for QuickBooks Online, so we'll put
Yeah.
that in the comments as well, so someone can also get a discount if they decide to sign up for QuickBooks. I'm a QuickBooks customer as well, and I've been really happy with QuickBooks, and I teach that also in my program with the Profit First system as well. So that's awesome. And the other thing I wanted to say is that, and I think that you can attest to this, is that your fear and your anxiety and your overwhelm about tax time, I know tax time is like right now, it really is bigger than your actual taxes. Just do it. Get it out of the way. Believe me, when
Yeah.
you do the work, take the day and just focus on it, you'll feel so much better. Trust me when I tell you, because it happened to me last year, but it's funny, this year I feel completely differently, because I remember last year specifically when I was like, I am scared, right? And I remember just one day, took one day, did all the numbers, and then I was like, boom, Schedule C at my accountant's office, and like it was so much
Yep.
easier. But with that said, though, if you can get with a bookkeeper sooner than later, it's better, because there might be money that I may have left on the table. I don't think there is, because I was pretty serious,
Yeah.
but you don't want that to happen. And especially as you get larger, as you have more revenue coming in, it's more important that you seek those opportunities for getting all of your money back, right? And taking advantage of any of those rules that apply when you file your taxes as a small business. So yes, let's do a call to action. So
Yeah.
call to action number one: see the comments. Take advantage of the links, and also take advantage of her freebie that she shares with us. We're going to do that soon, as soon as we hop off this live. Also connect with Vanessa. Why don't you go ahead and tell those that are watching how they can connect with you?
Yeah, so I'm on LinkedIn and Facebook. I have not joined the Instagram family. I feel like I put my foot down on that. I'm like, no, I don't want to learn
You'll
something
get there, girl.
new in
You'll
that
get there.
aspect. There's been more and more thought about it. But so LinkedIn and Facebook are the two main ways to reach out to me in there. And then I have a website, www.a-to-z, just that numbers, bookkeeping.com, if you want to kind of take a look at some of the services and things that I offer.
And we'll share that in the comments as well. And when this is on the podcast, we'll put it in the podcast show notes too. All the places where you can find Vanessa and where you can get help from her, and even some of her network. She shares her network with you, like, who's good at this, who's good at that. She knows people, so she can help you
Yeah.
with those things as well. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And then another call to action. This is for me. Listen, the masterclass is happening next Monday. It's going to be happening for 3 days. If you are wanting to work with me, if you want to get the success like Vanessa did in my program, and make a real change in your financial life and in your future, hop into that masterclass. It's ridiculous. It's only $47. It's stupid. It's worth thousands. So I highly suggest it. It's intimate coaching. This is not like live on Facebook or anything. This is in Zoom. It's very intimate, and it's real stuff. So you will get to the next step in your financial journey, that in the steps that you need to take in order to get to your dream life. So let's go. All right, let's land this plane, girl. I will talk to you really soon. Thank you so much for coming on here. I appreciate you.
Yeah. You have a great rest of your day.
All right, you too.
Thanks. Bye.